Hello guys, I'm out. It's quite snowy today and it's windy and blowing, so it's cold and I have a bit of a cold. I don't think it's the virus, but you never know. I'm gonna test myself later today. I'm shooting with my Sony FDR, just want to test it today, but of course it started to snow a little bit, and as we all know, the Sony is waterproof, so maybe I have to pack it down, but we're gonna film a little bit and see. This camera is absolutely excellent, and I want to compare it a little bit with my Action 2 today, just to see how it is against each other. The Action 2 has some updates lately, so it's a much better camera now than it was when it was launched. The Sony FDR, they stopped updated to that camera many years ago, but it's still an excellent camera with brilliant audio and pretty good image quality. The stabilization is, as we all know, optical. That means that the lens is moving around. I have with me my Action 2. I really love this camera, and we're gonna test it side by side with the Sony FDR X3000. A lot of people love this camera, and I can understand why. I love it too. It has some limitations, of course. It's not waterproof, but it's excellent point and shoot camera. You don't have a screen on this camera, but the menu system is pretty easy to understand. It is. You can shoot in 4K and 1080p. In 1080p you can shoot up to 60 frames, and in 720p you can shoot up to 120 frames. The image quality is good, actually really good, I think. It's not as good as Hero 10 and Action 2, but the low light performance on this camera is pretty good. Stabilization, it's good. It is. It can't beat the electronic stabilization on the Hero 10 and the Action 2, but it's good enough for most people, and this camera is just excellent to use when you're just out vlogging. I don't want to define this as an action camera. It isn't, just because it is an action camera. It's not as the build quality isn't as good as the Action 2 and the GoPro Hero 10, and it's not waterproof. So I wouldn't call this action camera. I would call this a vlog point and shoot camera. It's a great camera. I just love to use it, and I was thinking about selling it for a year ago, but I couldn't sell it. It's just too good, and a lot of people on YouTube are telling me, no Aspen, you must not sell this camera, it's so good. And I'm gonna keep it, and it's funny to see that the Sony FDR is still pretty expensive. I think you have to pay around $400 US for this camera. That's just insane how high the price still is on it, and the reason is, of course, because of the demand of this camera, and Sony would not update this camera to another new one action camera. I don't think so. Everybody's hoping for a X4000 or an updated camera, but I don't think Sony will go into that action cam market, and I can understand them. It's a lot of it's enough competition there, and you have Dji and GoPro and a bunch of other cheaper brands. But I was hoping, of course, that Sony would do something, but they wouldn't do that. But they have excellent mirrorless cameras, so I don't see the point of Sony to go into the action cam market again. I was hoping, but I don't think so. So let's switch to the Action 2. You can compare the footage. I'm shooting in a vibrant color profile on the Sony FDR. I'm going to shoot in normal color profile on the Action 2, and everything is going to be manual, automatic settings. So tell me which camera you prefer. See you in a bit. Yeah guys, we switch now to the Action 2. I'm only using the camera module because it was starting to snow and you can't use the screen or power module, so that's too bad. Yeah, so I'm on the Action 2 now, and you saw the clips with the Sony FDR, which is an excellent camera. Can you see any major difference? I'm shooting in 4K with both camera. I'm using the horizon balancing on the Action 2, which I really love. It's just freaking awesome. It's so good. It's actually better than GoPro Hero 10 in my opinion, because you can tilt the X more than you can do on the GoPro Hero 10. But the Action 2 has some issues also, of course, like every camera has. But one thing you can trust with DJI products is actually just the overall experience with the camera. Always works. You don't have any freezing or troubles like that, but the image quality and the results are sometimes a little bit strange. The stabilization has some issues, in especially low light conditions, but overall I think this camera is just freaking awesome. 4K looks beautiful. You can see a lot of details, and especially after the latest update where they cropped the image a little bit, I actually think that the image quality looks better. I would never ever use ultra wide or wide. I think I would always choose the steady mode and horizon balancing when I'm out shooting and vlogging, just because it's so good. This camera is brand new, as you all know, and the Sony FDR is 6 years old, so it's pretty old, and both cameras are just awesome. Both of them are really reliable, always work, no issues at all. And I think the image quality from the Sony FDR, being such an old camera, is still just amazing. Is it better than DJI? Absolutely not, it's not. The lens on the DJI Action 2 is much larger. I'm gonna put it up on the screen so you can see how they compare to each other. And of course the specs on the DJI Action 2 is much better than Sony FDR, but still, if you have the Sony FDR, should you upgrade? If you have the money, yes. Should you sell your Sony FDR? Absolutely not. Don't sell it, it's so good, you're gonna use it, trust me. And it's so easy and so small, just like the Action 2. The camera module on the Action 2 is smaller than the Sony FDR, but yeah. And of course it's not waterproof, so that's an issue too. So if you want an action camera and you have the money, you should upgrade to either the Hero 10 or DJI. I have the Hero 10, that's just an excellent camera too, but if you're gonna use the GoPro Hero 10, only shoot in 5.3K. It's a big difference between 4K and 5.3K, and always shoot in flat. Shooting in flat on the Action 2 is not as good as the Hero 10. I think it's harder to grade the footage from the Action 2, but yeah. So Hero 10 is just excellent too. It is. And of course, with the Hero 10, everything is waterproof and you can film a lot more. The battery life is better on the GoPro Hero 10, but if you're using the camera, the screen module or the power module, and you can use it, then the battery life is better on the Action 2. So it's quite difficult to choose which camera to use. What I highly recommend is just get used to what you have and try to be good at it and just have fun. I'm not gonna sell either of my cameras. I'm gonna keep them all because I think they are so freaking good. And I also have the Pocket 2, and that Pocket 2 is in many ways the same as the Sony FDR. It's not waterproof. The stabilization is 10 times better on the Pocket 2, but the Pocket 2 is better than any action camera, especially in stabilization. And the footage from the Pocket 2 is just freaking awesome. But the Pocket 2 is not an action camera at all. That's a typical vlog city camera, point and shoot also of course, but it's a little bit more fragile than the Sony and the Action 2. But the stabilization is just freaking awesome. Oh, it's cold today. It is. So let me pick up the Sony FDR and we can finish the vlog for today. And tell me, of course, which camera you prefer. Guys, so we are back on the Sony FDR, the wonderful little camera. So what do you think so far? Is there a major difference between these two cameras in the image quality? I'm pretty sure that the audio from the Sony FDR is a little bit better. But the only thing I'm missing on my Sony FDR is some kind of wind muff to block out the wind noise, but overall the audio is pretty good. Can you see a major difference in the details? Pay attention to, yeah, there's not that many details because of all the snow, but yeah, just pay attention to it. Stabilization of course is supposed to be much better on the Action 2, but tell me down what you think. Overall, I just love this camera. I do. Like I said earlier in the video, I was planning to sell it, but I couldn't sell it. It's just impossible to sell because it's so freaking good. Yeah, so as you can see, it's winter here. It's cold, it's windy. That's typical February. It's a winter month here in Norway, but we have shifting weather all the time. That's a little bit annoying, but just the way it is. It's fun. It is. This is much better than rain, that's for sure. But I can't wait for spring. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and of course tell me which camera you prefer. I know a lot of people are bored of comparing, but I don't care. I think it's fun. Leave a comment down below, tell me which camera you prefer. I'm pretty sure that the Action 2 is a little bit better, but overall, do you think the Sony X3000 is still relevant in 2022? And should Sony come up with a new action camera? Is there a place for them? And yeah, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you on the next one. Remember to subscribe. Bye.